I'm Al Ferguson, lead anchor at Queer News Tonight. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network welcomes you to the 25th anniversary year of one of the world's most important LGBTQ plus cultural events, celebrating queer film. The Outshine Film Festival has its triumphant return to Fort Lauderdale from October 19th to 29th, 2023. This special program is going to explore the highlights and the best moments coming for the 15th anniversary of the Fort Lauderdale edition. To help us, we have brought together a dazzling array of talent. Let's welcome Jennifer Kriz. She has a long history of representing lesbians and queer women at the Outshine Film Festival and serves as the vice chair of the board for the festival. Let's welcome Bonnie Builder. Bonnie represents this unique brand of drag queen and then badass fitness instructor bodybuilder. She is an activist for the Black community, and her sharp eye, and more importantly, her sharp tongue, will give us a unique perspective of the Outshine Film Festival. Let's welcome Faye What? She represents lesbians and queer women and is a well-known television personality and the host of the Faye What Show, Mondays at 9 a.m. and then on demand on Roku, Apple TV, and all streaming platforms on the Happening Out Television Network. Let's welcome Dino Mascaro. He represents the Latino community and has vast film experience with the Outshine Film Festival, including the Outshine Miami Edition Selection Committee Chair. Let's also welcome John Hayden. He's the community editor and senior reporter at Out South Florida, and John's long career in network television has allowed him to interview countless movie and television stars. And finally, let's welcome Joe Balancio, literally one of the world's most well-known and respected LGBTQ plus film experts. As the Outshine Film Festival's program director, he has seen all 60 plus films in this year's festival. Wait, just a minute. I understand all 60 plus films but one. I can't wait to find out which one that was. The Outshine Film Festival Trans Spotlight with Oskars Dress on Sunday, October 22nd. The trans community has a special spotlight with the Outshine Film Festival in the 6:30 p.m. presentation of Oskars Dress. It's going to be at the Gateway Theater on Sunday, October 22nd. The story is about Ben, and ever since Ben has been living apart from his ex-wife, Mira, and their children, Oskar and Erna, his life has fallen apart. Alone, he drags himself through sleepless nights and starts the day with, ready, muesli and beer. Unexpectedly, Ben gets a second chance to prove he can be a good father. And when the heavily pregnant Mira is in a hospital, his children temporarily move in with him. However, things don't go quite according to plan when he discovers Oskars Dress. And with his innocent dress, Ben and his conversationally and conventionally messed up family embark on an adventure at which the end of which everything is different and no one is the same anymore. The entire trans community is celebrated in this special moment at the Outshine Film Festival. Joe, the selection here and the focus of the trans community on Oskars Dress, what was the motivation to do that?
Yeah, we love our trans communities. We love all our communities. We often wish we could get more of the trans community to come out, and in the years sort of leading up to this one, they have started to. So we're excited to continue that growth, and through organizations in the area who are supporting that mission, we're very excited to do things like this Trans Spotlight. There are those sort of what I call really heavy sort of documentary or, films about somebody's transition, which are certainly important. But this is just more of a commercial fare. It's lighter, yet it's very, very poignant. I think the fact that it's about Oskar, who's, a young child sort of making the transition, it really makes it sort of accessible to the masses. And it uses comedy, it uses social drama to sort of prove the point that we really are who we are. And it's phenomenal. I really did. I laughed, I cried. The performances by not only Oskar, but Oskar's sister are fabulous. And it's really just a delightful, fun, sort of energetic way to sort of get across what I think a lot of the trans community is trying to say. People are people and respect us for who we are.
Joe, it gives me an opportunity to ask all of you, art and culture sometimes can be one of the most powerful political statements that we can make. And a film like this and the Outshine Film Festival focusing on the trans community can be a very powerful statement of what we're watching in Florida and in South Florida and what's happening to our trans community. What do you think about the idea of art and culture being a political shield for members of our community, like our trans community? What do you think about that?
I don't think it has to be a political shield or a shield. I think it can be a weapon. And not all weapons hurt. Some weapons help. And I think this is the type of movie that can help, because there are so many people who want to see this and don't have the courage or the ability or the community support to say, I want to see myself, my true self reflected. And God bless them, they're finally going to be able to get to do this. And remember, queer film goes back almost as long as film itself. There was a queer series and short film, they were all short back then, in 1895. So we've been here, and the fact that we're seeing more and more of ourselves reflected on that great big beautiful silver screen is refreshing and heartwarming.
And I have to give kudos to the Outshine Film Festival for the spotlight, for making that happen. I think it was last season that you folks had a Kokomo.
Kokomo, I was going to talk about.
What an incredible film. And so the fact that you can tell that you folks have handpicked these movies for a reason, right? And now when it comes to Oscar's dresses, like you said, we've seen movies about the child going through it or someone going through their transition. But to see the parents and to see the mistakes that parents make, right? The fact that this movie might help a parent right now that has a trans child. That's a beautiful thing.
Like I said before, a film festival has to reflect the community. And we're going through this struggle in the community, and our trans sisters and brothers are going through this struggle, particularly in the state of Florida. We can't shy away from this. We have to show stories, and the trans community is as diverse as it comes too. You can see this, with this particular movie, which shows a family, and then we did with Kokomo, the story of, Black, trans women, struggling with the sex working.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we did with Girl, a few years ago, a fantastic story from Belgium, that was a teenage story. So it goes to tell you, and we are making a conscious effort to highlight these stories, because the trans community deserves that attention, and the attention is now.
And they've asked for it, and you're giving it to them, because they deserve it, just like everyone else.
Yeah, I will say that queer cinema is going to save the movie industry. And I really got to give a shout out to Outshine Film Festival for sort of leading this, because in the queer community, you're going to get continuous, unique stories like this. Everything has been so targeted to the hetero community. When they sort of delve into our pond, they're like, oh, I didn't know this could be a story. I didn't know this was a plot. I didn't know this is what people were going through. Yes, and we could display these on the silver screen and have continuous, unique stories that we haven't heard. I've never seen a film like this or heard of a film like this. It's going to bring me to tears when I watch this. And I'm so excited to just be moved in such a way, because I've never experienced this in cinema, this sort of story being told.
This is one of those films that we're screening specifically because we want trans people to bring their families. We want even just anybody who knows a trans person and doesn't fully understand them to bring their families and to bring themselves to it. This is such an incredible film. We actually were considering perhaps even making it the centerpiece, and we were trying to figure out where to put it in the program. But the most important thing is getting the word out. The trans community needs to see it, and really the entire community needs
Jen,
to see it.
I've got a question for you. Obviously, it revolves around a child and a parent and a young child family. How young can we bring? Could kids come? Like, if you say you want to bring a family, would this be good for an 8-year-old? Would it be good for 10, 5? What age would be good to start bringing children to this?
That's a good question because of the laws here. I'm not really sure how that works with rated movies.
In another state, it would be up to the parent. But
Yeah,
not here.
I'm
We have
not
no
really-
idea here.
I'm not really sure, but I will tell you, if the question is my 8-year-old going to find this offensive? No. No.
Okay.
It's
Correct.
Go ahead, Joe. Yeah,
yeah.
why don't you answer that
The
question?
problem we might have is that it is subtitled. So some 8-year-olds probably aren't going to be able to keep up with the reading or aren't interested in reading or would get bored with the reading. But as Jen said, there's nothing really to object about, at least nothing I would say we object about. Some people find something objectionable about anything. So,
one final observation. Faye and I have talked about this at Queer News Tonight, and John 100 times. Representation matters, and I think the point of the film should be very loud and clear, and also Outshine Film Festival should be very proud of it, because representation matters. If you don't make a space at the table, you're not at the table. And it's as simple as that. The other thing that I think is important, not being directly involved in the Outshine Film Festival, is, I just want to do the call outs. Faye has just recently talked about the success of Adriana Tender. And her representation at Dolphin Democrats, and her representation of what she is doing in the trans community at Trans Inclusive. Jasmine McKenzie at the McKenzie Project. Tatiana Williams as the executive director at Trans Inclusive. Trans Social in what they do, and Ariana at
Ariana Center.
At Ariana Center. Thank you. I just invite all of our trans leadership in South Florida. Outshine Film Festival, I can clearly see the intentioned representation here. And I encourage, frankly, because I've talked about this a lot, I know Faye has too, we want to find ways where we can help the trans community and involve the trans community and bring the trans community into our community. It starts, and they're there anyway, but it starts with invitation, representation, seat at the table. This special focus on the community for Sunday, October 22nd is a good start, and we hope you support it, and it's a film that you absolutely should see.